Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to expose something that most people with blood sugar issues have no idea about. You might think you're monitoring your glucose correctly, but I'm going to reveal 13 critical errors that could be giving you completely false readings. Even worse, I'll show you why the conventional approach to managing blood sugar might be keeping you sick instead of helping you heal. Let's start with something that will probably shock you. Your entire bloodstream should only contain about 1 teaspoon of sugar at any given time. That's it, just 1 teaspoon. Your body regulates this incredibly tightly because excess sugar in your blood is actually toxic. When someone develops prediabetes, that number only goes up to about 1.5 teaspoons. Full blown diabetes, just 2 teaspoons. Think about that for a moment. The difference between being healthy and being diabetic is literally 1 teaspoon of sugar in your entire body. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most people are eating 50 to over 100 teaspoons of sugar daily when you count all the hidden sugars in bread, pasta, rice, and other starches. So, how can someone consume that much sugar but only show 2 teaspoons in their blood? There's a hormone working overtime behind the scenes like an industrial vacuum cleaner, and it's called insulin. Insulin is desperately trying to pull that sugar out of your bloodstream and stuff it into your cells, your liver, and your fat tissue. Unfortunately, most doctors only focus on blood sugar levels. They rarely check insulin levels, which is a huge mistake. If they did, they'd see insulin levels are absolutely skyrocketing in most people. Here's something else that might surprise you. Even if you ate zero sugar, your blood glucose would still maintain that 1 teaspoon level. Why? Because your body actually needs a small amount of glucose to function. So, your liver will manufacture it from other sources. We don't need to eat sugar at all. The problem is we're consuming way too much and eventually the system breaks down. Your body starts resisting insulin because it's been exposed to too much of it for too long. This is called insulin resistance, and it's the root cause of type 2 diabetes and countless other chronic diseases. Some researchers even call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes of the brain because of how insulin resistance damages brain cells. Here's a fascinating fact about diabetics specifically. About 80% of the sugar in a diabetic's bloodstream isn't even coming from their diet. It's being manufactured by their liver. Only 20% comes from food. The liver has essentially gone haywire because all the hormonal signals are confused. It thinks the body is starving, so it keeps pumping out more and more glucose. This is exactly why doctors prescribe metformin, which basically tells the liver to stop producing so much sugar. The conventional medical approach waits until your blood sugar is dangerously high, diagnoses you with diabetes, and then manages the condition with medication. They're not focused on reversing the problem. In fact, about 95% of physicians actually discourage low carb diets, mostly due to outdated nutritional guidelines and misleading information in the mainstream. Instead, you'll be given drugs to manage your blood sugar, and sometimes you'll even be told to eat candy or glucose tablets if your blood sugar drops too low. The entire focus is on managing a number, not fixing the underlying metabolic dysfunction. Let's talk about what's considered too low for a moment. Hypoglycemia is typically defined as blood sugar below 70 milligallons per deciliter, while normal is considered 80 to 100. But here's the thing. A diabetic with a blood sugar of 90 might feel hypoglycemic symptoms because their body is so used to running on high glucose. Meanwhile, someone who's metabolically healthy might function perfectly at 70 or even 60. When you adapt your body to run on fat and ketones instead of constantly relying on sugar, you don't need those elevated glucose levels anymore. Your body becomes incredibly efficient. Now, let's get into those 13 testing mistakes that could be completely messing up your readings. First mistake, not washing your hands before testing. If you've just handled food, especially something like fruit, the juice on your fingers will mix with your blood sample and give you a wildly inaccurate reading. This is called pseudohypoglycemia. Always wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water. Let them dry completely, and then test using your ring or middle finger. Second mistake, using alcohol wipes incorrectly. If you swipe your finger with alcohol and test while it's still wet, your reading can jump by 10 to 40 points. You need to wait at least 30 seconds for the alcohol to evaporate completely. Also, some alcohol wipes contain added glycerin, which is sweet and can throw off your results. Make sure you're using glycerin-free wipes. Third mistake, using expired test strips. Those strips have a shelf life for a reason. Once they expire, the chemical reactions they rely on may no longer work properly, giving you completely unreliable data. Always check the expiration date. Fourth mistake, extreme temperatures affecting your strips or your body. If you've just taken a sauna, jumped in an ice bath, or exposed your testing strips to very hot or cold temperatures, your readings can shift by up to 30 points in either direction. Keep your strips stored at room temperature and test when your body temperature is normal. Fifth mistake, taking certain medications or supplements right before testing. Tylenol can artificially raise your blood sugar reading. Vitamin C can spike it by 30 to 50 points. If you're testing in the morning while fasting, don't take any supplements beforehand. In fact, don't even drink coffee yet, which brings me to a point I'll cover shortly. Sixth mistake, squeezing or milking your finger too hard. When you squeeze your finger, you're also expressing interstitial fluid and mixing it with your blood, which dilutes the sample. This can drop your reading by up to 30 points. You want a natural blood drop that forms gently, which you then allow to be drawn into the test strip. Seventh mistake, using different fingers inconsistently. Blood flow and readings can vary between fingers. Stick to your middle finger and ring finger for the most consistent results. Don't randomly switch to your thumb or index finger unless absolutely necessary. Eighth mistake, not understanding how continuous glucose monitors work differently from finger pricks. CGMs measure glucose in the interstitial fluid under your skin, not directly in your bloodstream. This means there's a delay in the readings, especially after meals. If you eat something and immediately check your CGM, it won't show the spike yet because it takes time for glucose to move from blood into interstitial fluid. You need to account for this lag time. Ninth mistake, testing too soon or too late after meals. If you're doing post-meal testing, you should check your blood sugar 1 to 2 hours after eating, not immediately after and not 3 hours later. Consistency and timing is crucial for meaningful data. 10th mistake, sleeping on your CGM. If you sleep on the device and put pressure on it all night, it can affect the morning reading. Also, if you're testing at high altitudes, like above 10,000 feet, the lower oxygen levels can throw off your results. 11th mistake, drinking coffee before your fasting blood sugar test. Caffeine stimulates adrenaline and cortisol, which are stress hormones. These hormones signal your liver to release stored glucose, which can artificially raise your blood sugar by up to 20 points. This is also why stress in general can spike your blood sugar. Cortisol is actually called a glucocorticoid because one of its primary jobs is to release glucose into your bloodstream. 12th mistake, not understanding the dawn phenomenon. You might wake up with high blood sugar even though you haven't eaten in 12 hours. What's happening around 9 in the morning? Your body naturally releases a surge of cortisol as part of your circadian rhythm. This cortisol spike can raise blood sugar, but more importantly, if you have insulin resistance in your liver, it's going to be churning out excess glucose like a factory running overtime. That morning, high blood sugar is a clear sign of hepatic insulin resistance. It will improve over time as you address the root cause, but it might take weeks or months to fully resolve. 13th mistake, being dehydrated when you test. Dehydration can alter your blood sugar reading by 10 to 15 points. And dehydration isn't just about water. You also need adequate electrolytes, including sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Make sure you're properly hydrated before testing. One more thing to understand is the A1C test. This measures your average blood sugar over the past 3 months by checking how much glucose is stuck to your red blood cells. But here's what most people don't know. Different ethnicities have different red blood cell lifespans. Caucasian red blood cells tend to die sooner than those of Asian, African American, or Hispanic descent. This means if you're Asian, African American, or Hispanic, your A1C might read slightly higher than a Caucasian person with the same actual blood sugar levels, and that could still be completely normal for you. Also, if you're anemic, or if you've been following a low-carb diet for a while, your red blood cells will live longer, which also affects the A1C reading. Context matters with this test. Now let's talk about something that really matters, reversing type 2 diabetes. From my perspective, it's actually straightforward, though it does require commitment and time. The key is understanding that your liver is at the center of this entire problem. When your liver becomes overloaded with fat due to years of excess carbohydrate intake, it becomes insulin resistant and dysfunctional. The good news is that the liver responds remarkably quickly to dietary changes. When you drastically reduce carbohydrate intake, your liver starts burning off that stored fat almost immediately. Within just a few weeks of following a low carb approach, you can eliminate roughly 50% of liver fat. The solution to reversing type 2 diabetes is combining a low carbohydrate ketogenic diet with intermittent fasting. Why both? Because it's not just what you eat that drives blood sugar and insulin up. It's also how often you eat. Every time you eat, even if it's a small snack, you trigger an insulin response. By condensing your eating window to 2 meals a day, or even 1 meal a day, you give your body extended periods without insulin spikes. This allows your cells to become sensitive to insulin again. Some people can reverse their diabetes in as little as 10 weeks. For others, it takes longer. The medical establishment is typically reluctant to use the word reversal because they prefer to manage chronic conditions rather than cure them. But there are credible studies, particularly from organizations like Verta Health, that demonstrate clear reversal of type 2 diabetes through low carb interventions. The data is solid. If you want to accelerate your results, here are some additional strategies. Incorporate consistent exercise into your routine. It doesn't have to be intense, just regular movement. Walking is incredibly powerful. Take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar diluted in water before meals to help manage post-meal blood sugar spikes. If your blood sugar is elevated in the morning, go for a walk to burn it off. Consider berberine, which is a natural compound that works similarly to metformin in helping regulate blood sugar. Prioritize quality sleep, manage your stress levels, and get regular sunlight exposure. All of these factors influence your metabolic health significantly. The bottom line is this: you're not helpless, and you're not destined to live with high blood sugar forever. With the right information and approach, you can take control of your metabolic health and potentially reverse a condition that millions of people believe is permanent. The power is in your hands. Now, I want to address something specifically for those of you who are older adults or caring for aging parents. Managing blood sugar as a senior comes with unique challenges that could literally save your life or the life of someone you love. If you're over 65, you're likely taking multiple medications. Blood pressure pills, cholesterol drugs, and anti-inflammatories can all interact with your blood sugar in ways that aren't obvious. Certain beta blockers and corticosteroids can significantly raise blood sugar, while some antibiotics can cause unexpected drops. If you're taking 3 or more medications daily, have a serious conversation with your doctor about how each one affects your glucose levels. Never assume your healthcare provider has considered all the interactions. Another critical point is that symptoms of high and low blood sugar become less obvious with age. Younger people feel shaky or sweaty when their blood sugar drops, but older adults often experience confusion, dizziness, or weakness that gets dismissed as just getting older. This is dangerous because severe hypoglycemia in seniors can lead to falls, fractures, and hospitalizations. If you're experiencing unexplained confusion, especially in the morning or between meals, check your blood sugar immediately. Vision problems create another challenge. Many seniors test their blood sugar incorrectly simply because they can't see the display clearly. Invest in a glucose meter with a large backlit display. Some meters even have audio features that speak the results out loud. Don't let pride prevent you from getting accurate readings. Kidney function changes dramatically with age, directly impacting how your body handles blood sugar. As kidney function declines, filtering excess glucose becomes less efficient, meaning older adults can have higher readings even with the same diet. Request a kidney function test at least annually and ensure your doctor factors this into your treatment plan. Social isolation is real for many seniors. When living alone, it's easier to let health habits slide. Find an accountability partner, whether a friend, neighbor, or someone from a diabetes support group. Just having weekly check-ins about your readings and habits makes an enormous difference. Finally, don't think it's too late to make changes. I've seen people in their 70s and 80s completely transform their health through low-carb eating and intermittent fasting. Your body still has an incredible capacity to heal at any age. Start gently, be consistent, and give yourself grace during the process. You deserve to feel vibrant and healthy in your later years.